Gaurav, do you think the Trump administration is going to be more forthcoming towards India's case against Pakistan terror?
It is hoped that Donald Trump's administration would be far more forthcoming than the Biden administration. India has constantly been trying. It actually depends on how serious is India about tackling terror. And, 2019, after the Pulwama attack, the Balakot airstrikes were a game changer in India's response to tackling Pakistan state-sponsored terror. We've been hit by Pakistani state terror for decades. The 1993 Mumbai blast, in which 257 people were killed and 700 were injured, when a series of bomb blasts happened in Mumbai. They ripped through Mumbai. There were, film personalities who were involved with the underworld even then. And Sanjay Dutt was convicted under Arms Act in that case. To several other cases of terror across our country where Pakistan was directly involved. Attacks on the Raghunath temple, attacks on the Akshardham temple, attacks on our marketplaces. But or 26/11, where there was hardly any response to 26/11. However, Pulwama showed India's response in a very strict way. And that sent across a message. Now, if India is very strong that there is zero tolerance to terror, Pakistan's terror infrastructure gets that message. So it is sincerely hoped that, the Narendra Modi government will continue to ensure that terrorists are punished, and not just terrorists like David Coleman Headley and Tahawwur Rana in this case, but even the Pakistani deep state, ISI officers who were involved, Hafiz Saeed, who masterminded it, and there are several others. Those, even people like Zakir Rahman Lakwi, who were sent to jail under international pressure. They fathered children while in jail. So that just goes on to show Pakistan's attitude towards radical Islamist terror, because Pakistan's ISI trained, armed and launched these terrorists, something that Pakistan's FIA, Federal Investigation Agency, in its own report had confirmed that Pakistani territory was used. Pakistan Navy had trained those 10 Pakistani terrorists in Sindh, Thatta, and they had gone through Daurai Aam and Daurai Khas, two separate sets of training. Ajmal Amir Kasab and the 9 other Pakistani terrorists. The boat that they took had come from, Thatta, Sindh. It had sailed and then its color was changed. All of that came out in Pakistan's own investigations, Chetna.
Gaurav, this is a big diplomatic win for India and the US, with US Supreme Court having cleared Rana's extradition to India. What do you think India is doing to bring back Hafiz Saeed to justice?
That, of course, would be a feather in India's cap should that happen. India's efforts constantly have been to give evidence to Pakistan. Dossier after dossier has been submitted to Pakistan on Hafiz Saeed's involvement, not just in 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, but Parliament attack in 2001, involvement in a series of other terrorist activities in India, including in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So India has pointed out the role of Lashkar-e-Taiba, given evidence. Pakistan even refuses to give voice samples of Hafiz Saeed and others who were involved, including Abu Jindal, who were involved in 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, who were at that Karachi control room directing the Mumbai terror attacks in 2008. All of this is very well documented. I'd covered the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks on ground, the trial that had taken place in Mumbai, Ajmal Kasab's trial and ultimately his hanging, and the Chicago Federal Court trial of David Coleman Headley. So there is a mountain of evidence that directly implicates Hafiz Mohammad Saeed, but Pakistan refuses to take action against him. In fact, even the current Shahbaz Sharif government in Pakistan continues to fund madrasas of Lashkar-e-Taiba in Muridke in Pakistan's Punjab province, and Pakistan may be suffering terror, on its northwest flank, but it refuses to take action against these terrorists. It is only hoped that India would adopt all means possible to bring these perpetrators of terror to justice, Chetna.
Right. Gaurav, what do you think really caused such a delay in Rana to be, for the US Supreme Court to clear Tahawwur Rana's extradition to India?
So this was a due judicial process in the United States of America. India continued to track this case right from the time that David Coleman Headley was taken into custody, and there was the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Chicago, in the United States, had carried out investigations. In fact, they tracked both David Coleman Headley and Tahawwur Rana, including tracking their conversations in automobiles. So both David Headley and Tahawwur Rana were very careful about their conversations. They would often go for a car drive in Chicago to have their conversations. But FBI was tracking them. They had devices to overhear and record conversations that were, in fact, even the details of which were used in the Chicago Federal Court during David Headley's trial. So that entire due process, from a federal court to courts of appeal to Supreme Court to an appeal in the Supreme Court, that entire judicial process took time, during which, of course, Indian officials of the National Investigation Agency have travelled to the United States of America and interrogated Headley, and an interrogation was also carried out via video conferencing of David Coleman Headley to know more details of the 26/11 plot to carry out the terror attack in which 166 people were massacred in India over 3 days. So now that the judicial process is over, it is hoped that he would be extradited, brought to India soon, and that wider conspiracy after so many years will finally be unraveled.
Right. Thank you, Gaurav, for bringing us those details on that big story, diplomatic win for India and the US, where the US Supreme Court has cleared Tahawwur Rana's extradition to India.